We've just completed day 2 of the Esports World Cup. This closes out phase 1, the group stage, and this recap's going to be harder to do. There are so many banger matches and so many great stories. I want to talk about the genius off-meta pocket pick from Oceania's Yagami. I want to talk about Pakistan's secret killers in what were some of my favorite matches out of day 2. And I also want to talk about what makes an invitational different from an open bracket tournament. We got a lot to talk about, but let me know in the comments if you're enjoying this style of recap. If you want to watch my entire watch through, that will live on my second channel until we get into the later phases of the tournament. I'll link that below. If you missed day 1, the format is basically groups of 4, but instead of round robin like in the Tekken World Tour, they run them bracket style. So 2 will qualify out of each pool, the winner and the loser. However, when they advance to day 2, everybody starts again in the winner's side. So you basically just get 2 lives to try to qualify. Alright, so starting with Group E, I call this the fan favorite pool because it had Ulsan, the reigning EWC champion, Rangchu, the reigning Tekken World Tour champion, and JDCR and Yagami. Now JDCR and Yagami are definitely the underdogs of the pool, but that's not saying they're significantly weaker than the other 2 opponents. They just have a huge hill to climb against the former champions. The group starts off with JDCR versus Ulsan running a Dragunov mirror match, and at first, Ulsan gets a huge lead. JDCR comes back in game 2, and in the third game, JDCR is up 2 rounds to close out against the former champion. However, after some dropped combos and some missed punishes, Ulsan ends up making the comeback in the final game. On the other winner's side match, we had Yagami versus Rangchu, and in a complete surprise pick, Yagami, the Reina of the world, picks Lee Chaolan. Now the Lee pick actually makes a ton of sense. Reina has a bit of a tougher time against the bears, whereas Lee has a ton of really concrete answers. His counter hit 444 is such a good call out against the bear's charge up strings. And if the bear doesn't charge it up, he can use the same move as a really good punish and wall splat. He also has down 3 to go under the bear's gigantic high moves and convert into a counter hit launch. Now this is obviously a counter pick because Reina into the bears must be miserable, but the Lee was looking honestly solid for the first few rounds. Of course, Rangchu's defense is praised even in Korea, the country of solid defense, and after a ton of successful ducks and launches against Lee's back 3-3, Rangchu comes out on top. Let's follow Yagami down to the loser's side, where he now has to fight JDCR. He picks Reina against JD's Dragunov, and every round and every game, he's slowly getting more fired up. And by the time we get to game 3, we see Yagami flow stating in an unbelievable fashion compared to his first few games. It was like he hit Super Saiyan, whereas he was base form in the first game. Yagami eliminates JDCR 2-1, and now he has to fight Rangchu, who had just lost to Ulsan on the winner's side. So Ulsan qualifies. Now it's Yagami versus Rangchu for the final spot. Yagami picks Lee once again, and this time he wins game 1. Rangchu equalizes, and then in game 3, Yagami is on the verge of winning 2 rounds straight. But he drops a heartbreaking conversion off of counter hit while standing 1-2. This was critical because he had to go for the acid rain, the just frame 10 frame punish for Lee to kill Panda in this situation. However, he drops it. The fact that he even went for it means that you know he's been practicing it and succeeding. So it must have been insanely frustrating to drop it in such a clutch moment, and you can tell Yagami loses a ton of steam after that mechanical mistake. Rangchu ends up closing it out as a solid, seasoned, invitational style player, and Yagami unfortunately goes home. Yagami tweeted later that his Lee was 1 month old, and that was very commendable to pick up a pocket pick with such nerdy optimizations with that little amount of time. Heartbreaking eliminations for Yagami and JDCR, but they put on a great show, and in this kind of tournament, anybody can win and anybody can lose. Moving on to Group F, we see Kudans resuming his dominance from the Soup Tekken League finals around a month ago. He 6-0's Chanel in his winner's side match, and in the qualification match, when Pinya has him backed to the wall, nearly 2-0ing him, he completes the download and reverse sweeps Pinya to advance to day 2. His Heihachi is looking really impressive. I personally hope to see his Devil Jin come out because everybody loves complaining about how Devil Jin is not that good, but Kudan seems to have cracked the code. I have a video on his Devil Jin that you can check out below if you like. We have to talk about the other fan favorite in this group too, Keisuke. He went down to Pina 1-2 in a pretty close match. He was a slow starter at first. Pina had some really confident long ducks against his hell sweeps and his extended hell sweeps. But Keisuke starts ramping up, hitting some electrics. Unfortunately, it's not enough. So he's down in losers and he eliminates Chanel 2-0. This earns him the run back against Pina, as Pina had lost to Kudans on the winner side. In the Double Jeopardy rematch against Pina, it's actually a really close fight, but Pina is slightly more on point, play by play, moment by moment. Pina ends up winning 2-0, but the set was really close in HP and round count. It's just that Keisuke would get clipped out of his movement or get outplayed a few more times than Pina did. Mishimas in tournament are hard because you have to be having a hot day and there's not much of an alternative. There's not really a slow way to play Kazuya. You have to be on point and hitting everything and flow stating really well. Of course, no discredit to Pina, who qualifies through the loser side after losing to Kudans, who qualifies through the winner side. Next, we gotta talk about Group G, Group Gorilla. This group put Tibetano and King Ray Jr., the two Asuka mains, in the same pool. They're rounded out by two strong Korean zookeepers, CBM and Lohai. We gotta talk about King Ray Jr. He's been going on a tear in the Tekken World Tour. First place at Brussels Challenge, 17th at Evo Japan, 13th at Combo Breaker, 17th at CEO, 3rd at Chainshift. He's a menace with a lot of tournament consistency. Unfortunately, he showed why invitationals are not the same as open brackets. In open brackets, you get to ramp up in pools and round 2 matches, but in invitationals, your first match of the day could be a grand finals level match. His game 1 against CBM was so tunnel visioned on the counterplay that he prepared that he wasn't maintaining the rest of his game plan and playing the rest of the Tekken. By the time King Ray finds his flow, remembers what other moves and strategies he wants to use, CBM gets a ton of successful sidewalks and wins 2-0. It's a similar story for King Ray Jr. against Tibetano. When they run the Asuka mirror match, we see how Tibetano is a seasoned Tekken World Tour finalist. His game plan is so confident. He knows how much BS his characters have, and he knows how frustrating it is to play against. So Tibetano has a fully confident game plan and throws it at you with no hesitation. King Ray does take a game in the mirror, but is unable to flow as smoothly as Tibetano. He's eliminated from the Esports World Cup 1-2. He'll surely be back next season, and we'll likely see him in the TWT finals as he has a 9th place spot. But it must have been a very frustrating loss to not show up to a tournament and play the way you would like to. Outside of those matches, Lohai put on a clinic against Tibetano in the winner's side and also closes out against CBM's Jin to qualify through the winner's side. CBM alternates between Clive and Jin in this group, probably leaning towards Jin against Lohai because it's more of a comfort pick and he has to play many layers, but he uses the Clive successfully against the Asuka players. CBM qualifies through the loser's side. One funny detail we found out during the stream is Tibetano tweeted his strategy against Lohai, and it was to down 1+2. It obviously didn't pan out, but like I said, he was confident, he came up with a plan, and he was going to run it until he or the opponent died. Now, Group H was my absolute favorite group, and I think it was the group of death. We had Numan CH, Hafiz Tanvir, both from Pakistan, Chikarin, and Mulgold. My chat was fairly convinced that Hafiz Tanvir and Numan were the underdogs of this pool, but I strongly disagree. Tanvir and Numan don't make it out much because they're Pakistani, so they can't get visas to international tournaments and you don't see them as much. But in reality, Tanvir has a winning record against Ni in Tekken 7 and in Tekken 8. He actually eliminated Ni from Evo Vegas 2025. And Numan made an appearance in the Tekken World Tour Finals just recently this past year in Season 1. He plays so confidently even if he's missing character or player knowledge in a situation and will go down fighting, making his reads and making his plays. To me, he is the Steve, right? The Steve of Tekken 8. Nobody else really has optimized this character's game plan as much as Numan has. Numan also won the LCQ to qualify for the EWC using both Steve and Paul. So to me, this pool was a total toss-up, and if you only had to watch one group from this tournament, I would watch this group of death. On the Unhinged channel, we have me, Speedkicks, and Tone watching this group, and it was so hype. We could not figure out who to cheer for as a collective because all of these players are so cool to watch. But I have to give you the results now, so skip ahead if you don't want to be spoiled. Mulgold was the champion of this pool by far. He is a speed player, and even in his first matchup against Chikarin, he steamrolled through all of Chikarin's traps and kind of red stop signs. Mulgold plays so insanely fast and is so good at doing so in Tekken 8. When he runs into Numon, these guys have not played each other in tournament. They did play a bit after the Korea versus Pakistan exhibition, so there's a little bit of knowledge there, but otherwise this is their first to two in competitive. It ends up going down to the final round to see who qualifies through the winner's side. In the corner of the urban square, Numon goes for a QCF2 to try to kill Mulgold with one big low. Mulgold blocks and launches, and the Rage Art gives him Claudio's install one more time. Unfortunately, in this tense situation with $1 million prize pot on the line, Numon doesn't go for the killing conversion on his counter hit down forward 2. If he did while standing 2-2, Mulgold would have died, but he does while standing 1-2, the easier, more consistent, more common conversion. Of course, Mulgold capitalizes on this pixel of HP he has remaining and hits the DP to evade Steve's highs and close out the game. It was a really close match, and honestly, that specific match really could have gone either way. In that level of tension, you're not going to get the most optimal punishes every single time. And Mulgold literally edged it out with 1 pixel of HP. Down on the loser side, Chikarin fights another Claudio, Hafiz Tanvir. Now, Mulgold has a light speed Claudio, Tanvir has a bit more of a controlled, methodical Claudio. He's really hard to predict in a first to two because he's not afraid to do sidestep 4 like 8 times in a row. He will just do moves that will just hit. But Chikarin has really good callouts on the down back 4-3, getting launch punishes multiple times, which is really crucial against Claudio. I can't move on though without saying that Chikarin ended the set with an act of unnecessary violence. He read the killing low, and instead of doing a low block or a low parry, he went into Bahamut stance manually and triggered the auto low parry. Completely unnecessary, but as a Final Fantasy fan, I thought it was pretty cool. No, too soon! Oh, Harry. What the fuck? He did the low command parry! Bahamut! That brings Chikarin up against Numon for the decider match, the last qualification of the day, and he picks Lily against the Steve. We see him insisting on slides over and over and over again, even though Numon keeps launch punishing them. The match is super close, but Chikarin keeps showing sidestep left at the exact moment that Numon wants to go on the offensive, and it keeps blowing up his moves. The last little cool thing is Chikarin showed off this Forbidden Lily scroll, where after the wall combo, if you time your do glide, the QCF crouch dash, right as they tech roll, you can get a quick back turn move that looks like a front facing move, and it caught Numon 3 times, and it's how Chikarin closed out the set. My friends and I were really excited to see Numon potentially go on, not only to see more Steve, but just because he's such a dynamic and confident player. Unfortunately, he goes down in this group. Of course, I'm a giant Chikarin fan as well. He plays Lily and Clive, so I'll get a lot of footage to study regardless. Again, in this type of tournament, anybody can win and anybody can get eliminated. It's really brutal, and it's really about who shows up on that day, who has the seasoned experience to stay clutch in your first match of the day that is a grand finals level match. And even though Pakistan didn't end up qualifying out of Group H, we saw a ton of really scary gameplay, and undoubtedly they'll be back in the Tekken World Tour Finals later on this year. So quick recap of the results. Out of Group E, Ulsan and Rangchu qualify. Out of Group F, Kudans and Pina. Group G saw the Zookeepers Lohai and CBM tame the Oscar Gorillas. And Group H sees Mulgold and Chikarin, the more experienced international players, make it out as well. Day 2 is an absolute treat. Now we go into phase 2, where it's going to be honestly the exact same format. Groups of 4, bracket style, top 2 advance to the next phase. But everybody starts again in the winner's side. So it didn't matter if they qualified through the loser side or the winner's side. You're going to see them basically have a blank slate tomorrow. The qualifiers for phase 2 have been seeded based on whether they won through winners or losers side. But once again, they're all starting out as if they haven't lost any matches. They'll have 2 chances to get through to the top 8. If you enjoy this storytelling, if you enjoy this analysis, try to catch me live on Twitch. We'll be streaming again tomorrow as Phase 2 begins. If you can't make it there, my commentary will be on the FeedEx Unhinged channel. As we get to the later phases of the tournament, it'll start to show up on the main channel as well. There'll be playlists capturing all of this in one spot on the main channel, so please check that out if you like. Even amidst the Season 2 patch, the level of Tekken play and the results of all these players grinding is starting to show through. It would be really cool to see them balance the game a little more because the quality of the Tekken is going up and up. Once again, let me know if you enjoy this style of recap. Check out the full gameplay and commentary on the second channel, and I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and comment and let me know. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.